Kumusta, everyone, and welcome to a brand new deep dive.
Hello there.
Today we're tackling a really core skill, something that can seriously elevate your game in real estate.
Absolutely. We're talking about mastering the sales call.
Yeah, whether you're just starting out or, you're already established. And a special shout out to all our Excel Edge Realty podcast followers. We've definitely got you in mind for this one.
That's right. I'm Vera.
And I'm Lex. We're both from the Excel Edge podcast show.
And our focus today is, well, laser sharp. We've dug into some great material, your notes from April 13th of 2025.
Yep, those are detailed.
And a really insightful Salesforce article, How to Make a Successful Sales Call, 13 Tips and Techniques, packed with good stuff.
It really was.
So our mission here, it's simple, really. We want to pull out the key knowledge, the practical strategies that you, our Filipino aspiring real estate salespeople, agents, and realtors can use right away.
We want you to get better results, basically. Save you some time wading through everything.
Exactly. Cut through the noise, zero in on what actually works. We know your time's valuable.
Oh, absolutely. It's all about giving you that Excel edge, especially if you're focusing on the mid-price to high-ticket real estate market here in the Philippines.
Which is where a lot of the action is, right?
Definitely a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah.
And remember, you can always find more resources. Connect with us over at www.exceledge.com.ph.
Good place to check out.
And just to, plant a seed, one of the big ideas we'll be hitting today is really focusing on the value you bring, going beyond just like listing features.
Ah, that's a crucial distinction. Value over features. Okay, so let's lay the groundwork. When we say sales call in this context, what are we actually talking about based on our sources?
Well, fundamentally, it's that conversation, isn't it? Between the salesperson, you, and a potential client, a prospect.
With a purchase in mind, obviously.
Right. And it's not just a casual chat. There's usually a structure. You set an agenda, maybe?
Yeah, setting expectations, then the pitch, or maybe showing the property like a virtual tour.
Handling questions, objections.
Definitely objections, maybe some negotiation. And it really should wrap up with clear next steps. Ideally, aiming for some kind of verbal agreement to move forward.
Right. And that Salesforce article makes a great point. The call itself is just one piece of the puzzle.
It's part of that bigger sales process, yeah.
Exactly. Like you need the foundation first. The research, finding potential clients, prospecting, they call it.
Prospecting, then qualifying them.
Qualifying. What does that mean exactly?
Basically figuring out if they're actually a good fit. Are they serious? Can they, potentially make the purchase?
Gotcha. So research, prospecting, qualifying.
Yeah.
Then the call.
Right. And even after the call, they're still closing the deal. And just as importantly, that relationship building. Long-term stuff.
Okay, so let's zoom in on the before. Before you even pick up the phone or start that video call, both sources really hammered this home.
Oh, absolutely. Preparation is, well, it's everything. And not just 5 minutes before. We're talking days, maybe even weeks of groundwork leading up to it.
Okay, so what does that prep look like? It starts with research, right? Two kinds.
Yeah, knowing your product, the property, your services inside and out, that's foundational. But just as critical is researching your prospect.
Understanding who you're talking to.
Deeply understanding them. And that ties into qualification again. Are they a genuine lead? Do they have the means, especially for those mid to high ticket properties we focus on at Excel Edge?
Makes sense. You don't want to waste time on someone who just isn't a fit.
Precisely. Then there's the practical side, like just scheduling the call itself, finding a good time.
But here's where it gets really strategic, right?
Yeah.
For our listeners aiming for that Excel edge.
This is key. Before the call, you have to dig into their needs. What do they actually want? And maybe even more telling, what are their pain points?
Pain points, like what problems are they trying to solve?
Exactly. What are their biggest property aspirations? What frustrations are they facing right now in their search? Maybe finding the right location or dealing with financing?
Okay, so uncovering that beforehand, how does that help?
It changes everything. You move away from a generic pitch. You can tailor the entire conversation to show you actually understand their specific situation.
Right. So for our Filipino audience, maybe they're an OFW looking for an investment, or a family needing more space near good schools.
Precisely. Knowing their why is incredibly powerful and lets you connect on a much deeper level.
And the sources mentioned setting expectations for the call, too, like sending an agenda.
Yeah, that's a good practice. Sends a signal you're organized and respect their time. Maybe even a little teaser of the value you think you can offer them. Builds anticipation.
Transparency builds trust. I like that. What about decision makers? especially for bigger deals.
Ah, yes. Crucial, especially in those mid to high ticket deals. You need to tactfully figure out who really makes the final call.
It might not be just the person you're talking to initially.
Often it isn't. Could be a spouse, other family members, maybe business partners if it's an investment property.
Hmm.
Knowing who needs to be involved early saves headaches later.
And for really big deals, sometimes sending documents ahead of time, like contracts or quotes.
The Salesforce article suggested that, yeah, it lets everyone review the nuts and bolts beforehand so the call can focus on the bigger picture, the value, the solutions, makes the conversation more productive.
Okay, and the presentation itself, not just a standard script, right?
Definitely not. One size fits all doesn't cut it, particularly in the market we're discussing. You need something tailored.
Tailored how?
Well, think about their needs and how they like to receive information. Maybe it's a beautiful digital brochure, a really compelling virtual tour focusing on their priorities, or maybe a clear slide deck if they're more data-driven.
So visual for visual people, data for analytical types.
Exactly. High-quality photos, videos, market data, investment potential, match it to the prospect.
And the demo part, showing the property. Keep it short.
Concise is good, maybe under 10 minutes like the article suggested, and focus it tightly on the features that solve their specific pain points you uncovered earlier. How does this space, this feature, benefit them directly?
Okay, and one last thing on prep. Objections. We need to anticipate those.
Oh, absolutely critical. Think about common concerns in the Philippine market. Price, location issues, association dues, maybe market conditions.
So brainstorm those potential roadblocks.
Yes, and prepare thoughtful, well-researched answers before the call. It shows you're prepared, professional, and builds their confidence in you. Huge difference.
Okay, wow. That's a lot of central prep work. So now you've done all that, the call itself begins. How do we navigate that conversation effectively?
Right, the moment of truth. It starts simple. A warm but professional greeting. Build that initial rapport.
But not too casual, too fast, right?
Exactly. Keep it friendly but focused. Then a really powerful question mentioned in the sources is, has anything changed since we last connected?
Ah, that's smart. Shows you remember and ensures you're working with current info.
Precisely. It allows you to adapt if their situation has shifted. Then, clearly state the agenda for the call, what you plan to cover.
Sets expectations, keeps things on track.
And then circle back to what you learned in your prep. Reiterate their needs, their pain points.
Why do that? Don't they already know?
It shows you were listening. It builds empathy. It confirms you understand their journey, their challenges, especially with something as big as buying property in the Philippines. It shows you get it.
Okay, that makes sense. Show, don't just tell. And then we get to the core. Talking value, not just features.
This is the heart of it. So instead of just 3 bedrooms, 2 parking slots,
You'd say,
you'd say something like, with these 3 spacious bedrooms, your growing family will have plenty of room, and the 2 dedicated parking slots mean you won't have that common worry about secure parking in this area. See the difference.
yeah, you're connecting the feature directly to their need or worry, solving their problem.
Exactly. Using those pain and pleasure drivers the Salesforce article mentioned, how does this solve a problem or make their life better? You're selling the solution, the lifestyle, the investment security.
Not just the bricks and mortar.
Precisely. So after establishing that understanding, then you present the property details, the overview, and you constantly explain how those details are solutions for them.
Which leads nicely into the demo, the virtual tour or showing.
Right, where you highlight the specific things you know matter to them based on your research and the conversation so far.
And questions will come up, objections too. How do we handle those smoothly?
Key is stay calm, professional, no getting defensive, and use questions yourself.
Questions like, why do you feel that way?
Sort of, more like clarifying questions to fully understand the root of the objection before you jump in with an answer. Could you tell me a bit more about that concern, or what specifically about the price is worrying you? Really listen.
Understand before responding. Got it. And negotiation might happen.
It might, especially with these bigger deals. And throughout all this, keep highlighting what makes this property or your service unique.
And the differentiators. What sets it apart in the local market?
Exactly. Unique features, prime location, maybe your agency's track record, and watch your language.
Positive language, like investment instead of payment.
Yes. Subtle framing can make a difference, and active listening. We keep coming back to that.
That 60-40 listen-to-talk ratio.
Aim for something like that.
Yeah.
Really hear what they're saying, not just wait for your turn to talk.
Yeah.
And balance facts with feelings.
Meaning?
Use market stats, property values, sure, but also tell stories. Anecdotes about happy clients, how a similar property helps someone achieve their goals. Stories stick.
Okay. And the end of the call
hmm
needs clear outcome, right? Don't just leave it hanging.
Absolutely critical. Aim for a yes, if possible, an agreement on the next step. But
Hmm.
even if not, you need to understand the cost of inaction for them. What do they lose by waiting?
Make the stakes clear.
And always define the next steps very clearly. Who does what by when? Lock in that follow-up timeline. No ambiguity.
Prevents things from just drifting. Okay, call's done. Successful, hopefully. But it's not over yet. What happens after?
Right, the follow-through is vital. One really valuable thing, though maybe not always practical, is recording and reviewing your calls.
To learn from them.
Exactly. Hear yourself. Where did you do well? What objections caught you off guard? How could you improve? It's like coaching yourself.
Powerful idea. What else post-call?
Prompt follow-up is non-negotiable. Send that email.
The summary email.
Yeah. Summarize what you discussed, confirm the agreed next steps, the timelines, reinforces everything, keeps momentum.
And keep building the relationship.
Yeah.
Even if they didn't buy this time.
Absolutely. Especially here in the Philippines, relationships are key. Stay in touch, offer value, nurture that connection. It pays off long term.
And practically speaking,
Yeah.
log the call, right?
Yeah.
In the CRM?
Oh, definitely. Track everything, keep your records straight. It's essential for managing your pipeline and not letting leads fall through the cracks.
Good organizational habit.
And just remember, the call often leads into the next stage, which is the actual closing process. That's often a separate set of steps.
Okay, so bringing this all together, for our listeners, the Filipino aspiring real estate pros, agents, realtors, what are the absolute must-remember takeaways from this deep dive?
Okay, number one, preparation. It's not optional, it's foundational. Do your homework.
Know your stuff, know your client.
Second, understand needs and pain points. That's how you build trust and position yourself as a solution provider.
Focus on value, not just features. How does it help them?
Exactly. Third, communicate effectively. That means active listening, asking good questions, using positive language. Build that rapport.
And fourth, always get clarity, a clear commitment or understanding of the cost of inaction, and always, always define those next steps and timelines.
And maybe a fifth, continuous learning. Review your calls, reflect, get better with every interaction.
Great summary. Okay, here's a final thought for everyone listening to mull over.
Ooh, a challenge.
Kind of. Think about just one common objection you face in your real estate work. Just one. Now, how could you proactively address that specific concern before it even comes up in your next client interaction?
Interesting. Preempting the objection.
Yeah. What would that objection be, and what could you build into your conversation earlier to maybe neutralize it ahead of time? Something to think about.
Definitely food for thought. Now, for all you driven Filipino aspiring real estate salespeople, agents, and realtors out there, especially those aiming high in the mid-price to high-ticket market.
Remember, Excel Edge Realty is focused right there with you.
That's right. Don't forget to check out www.exceledge.com.p5ch. Lots more resources and info there to help you gain that competitive edge.
Indeed. Maraming Salamat, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today.
We hope it was valuable.
If you found it helpful, please do click that follow button. And maybe share this deep dive with colleagues or friends who could use these insights too.
Spread the knowledge. Until next time.
Ingrid Kayo. Take care.